Alright guys, welcome back to part 2 of my building demolition video tutorial series in Blender. This is another CG Geek tutorial, and this is Steve. So, last part we created our building and our buildings and environment and got it all set up and ready for demolition. You could say destruction, whatever. One thing I forgot to do was, I was saying in the last part how you want to break up your mesh so when the Explode Modifier does its job, it's not breaking any large sections. Now, I didn't do that on the floor inside the apartment, so I'm going to quick do that. And another thing I want to do is move all these buildings around my main building to a separate layer, just so they don't get in the way while I'm working with my simulations. So unselect the camera on the sun, and just move these over to layer 2. Alright, good. And then, like I said, the inside of the apartment here, tab into edit mode. Let's go to top view, and we have this really large face here that will need to be broken up. So I'm just going to W subdivide it. It'll go once there, and then I'll Control R, put a cut there. Control R, put a cut there. Control R, put cuts there. Alright. And then do the same thing that I did before, where you move around some of these vertices so it will shatter nicer. Some basic geometry changing here. Just grabbing these vertices, pulling them out of shape. Pretty easy. Just giving them some different sizes. So it looks nice and good. This one and that one. Alright. That looks good. And that should work. So, good with that. Now, let's select the part of our mesh that we want destroyed. So what I'm going to do first is, this is all a bunch of separate layers and arrays and whatnot, so that won't work for what I need to do right now. So what I'm going to do is, well, it's always good to start out by duplicating your mesh, okay? So I'm going to do that first. Grab the whole mesh, make sure it's the whole mesh, good. Shift D, move it. We'll just put this one on the bottom layer. So in case we ever have to go back, we have that. Now what I'm going to do is B, select it all, and go Control C. Nope, not Alt C. And Mesh, Curve, Meta, Surf, Text. Mesh from Curve, Meta, Surf, that's what we want to do. Choose that. It'll take a second, and it will basically convert it all to its own sort of mesh. Because we duplicated these with Alt D, you need to do this. So let it do its work. Alright. Seemed like, whoa, okay. Got a little issue there, but okay, so I had a little strange issue with the side here. Some of these meshes were just acting weird and lagging up, so I just deleted them, and I'll just copy them over again now. So these are all converted already, so all I need to do is, I want just this face and this edge. This edge here. Whoop. Let me see, where are you? Here you. Oh, where's this edge? This one in here. Grab this edge here. Grab, no, not that. This one, yeah. We want that. And we want this. Okay. So this, I can just Shift D and rotate 180 degrees. And plug it right in there nicely. Let's see what that looks like from the front. Whoops, wrong side. Grab it over here. We want it, oh, we actually have to flip it 90, and then we need to rotate it 180 along the X, so it's that way. There we go. And now we can just plug that in there nicely. Let's you just go up, no biggie. And that should, let's just move in, do it right there. And top view, just check all your views, make sure it's all lined up. Pretty easy. There we go. And there we go. Something like that. Should do it. This edge. Oh, this edge needs that piece too. So I deleted this twice, I guess, and we need it over here. So just Shift D that, and grab it along these X, Y, Y. There we go. Rotate 90 degrees, and pop that in there. Okay, so a little bit of a mess up there. That was a little strange. Didn't know why that happened, but we should be good. We should be in the clear, and just position that there. We should be ready to roll. Okay, that looks pretty clean. And you'll never see any miss stuff down here. It looks good. Yeah. Okay, that should be fine. Maybe just actually pull this along the X to cover that up there. Something like that. Alright. So, now that these are all done like that, basically I should be able to box select them all, and go Control J. Here we go. Let's save this project real quick. Save as tutorial part 2. Very good. Okay, Control J. We'll see what happens. Boom, we got one solid, nice mesh. Except these didn't work. So that's a little strange. Command Z. You go into Command Z, Command Z. There we go. Okay, let's just grab these and apply these modifiers. Oh, can't. Oh, maybe I didn't convert these. Alright, well, I'll just do these converting as well. Alt-C, convert them. Now we can join them all together. So box select everything except for the camera, of course. Control J. There we go. One nice solid mesh. Excellent. So now I'm going to select the area that I want destroyed, like I was saying earlier. And the way I'm going to do this is tab into edit mode. You'll see you got a crazy amount of vertices here, which is good and bad. It's good for blowing up because you get lots of debris. It's bad for your viewport render speeds. But alright, so I kind of want it to come in about this angle. Okay, like right here on all that's broken. So I'm just kind of positioning here my camera. Now I'm gonna hit C and scroll wheel it up a bit, and kind of choose the area now that is gonna blow out of this building. So just clicking around with the left mouse button, I'm gonna choose the area that will no longer be there, that will be demolished. So just kind of find a shape that you guys like that looks natural and destructiveness. You don't want any like round edges or something, so kind of I'm erasing the selection with middle mouse wheel and adding it with left mouse wheel or left mouse button. And there we go. That's okay there. Let me kind of see what this looks like from the side. That's looking pretty good. Maybe we can go a little bit deeper into the building. Whoops, that's taking out vertices. Add in some vertices. Yeah. All right, that's pretty good. This looks a little bit weird up here. Take out a little bit up there maybe, because the destruction object I'm gonna have is kind of coming downward. So you kind of want to shape it like it would be coming downward. All right. So that looks pretty good. What does it look like from camera view? That's important. It looks pretty good. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. So let me grab a little bit more right in here. Whoops, that's deselecting. There we go. Yeah, something like that. Looks good. All right, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to hit P, separate by selection. Very good. So we have this mesh here now that looks all destroyed, but blends right in with our city. Okay, so you can't see that it's already broken there. So that is one of the tricks you will need to do. Okay, so now I'm ready to animate my object that it will be colliding with. Now I'm just going to use, like I did in my video, a basic sphere, but you're welcome to go creative and use a plane or a meteorite or a UFO, whatever you might want crashing into this building. Obviously you kind of want to change the shape of what will get blown out when the object hits. If it was a plane, it might be, you know, like the wing and something hitting it, so you might want to change the shape of this, but I went with this shape because I'm using a sphere to destroy it. So I'm going to go to top view, put my cursor over here, and Shift A, add in a UV sphere. Scale it up, something like that, and hit T to bring up my toolbar and choose smooth shading. Okay, and let's bring this up here. And if I go to wireframe mode, let me just hide my whole mesh here so I have just the destructed area. And kind of position this a little smaller. You kind of have to imagine if this is coming through, what would be broken. So I'm going to scale it down just a tiny bit more. And that looks pretty good. Maybe actually I could scale up just a tad. Alright. That looks good. Maybe just scale up a tad more. Okay, bigger is always cooler. Maybe not as realistic though. So go at something like that. Good. Alright, and now I'm going to animate this. I'm going to animate it over the course of like 90 frames, I think. So I'll go 90. And frame 1, we'll have it back here-ish, something like that. And I'm just going to hit I, insert location and rotation. Jump to the end. It will be right about across there. Good. And then go top view and obviously pull it over here and hit I, insert lock rotation. Now let's kind of make sure that it looks pretty good. It might be coming across at a little too sharp of an angle, so I might just want to take this frame, pull it this way a little bit, insert the lock and rotation, just so it's hitting. Yeah, that's better. It's better, maybe just a little bit more. There we go. Insert lock rotation. Now you can also hit R twice and kind of give it a random spin, and then insert the rotation, jump to the end, and give it another random spin, and insert rotation. Now this is going to kind of glide to speed and then slow down because it's animated on a curve. So I'm going to quick open up my graph editor, and you can see they're all curves. I'm going to hit A to select them all, hit V, and choose vector. So now they're all sharp, and it will be going at a consistent speed across. All right, good. Now, all right, that looks like it should be good. Now, the main critique that I had on my final render was that the whole building destroys as soon as the obstacle hits this section of it. And actually, it looks like this might have to be moved. And I did a lot to try and avoid that, but basically with this method, it doesn't seem like I could get it to work. No matter what I did, it wasn't really going to work. So that was kind of a bummer, but this would work really well if you were like exploding the building, if there was explosives in the building or something. It was just blown out because it all goes at the same time. But I tried, animating different ways to start and end my particle system, and just couldn't come up with something that was gonna work out. So, oh well. I think it still looks pretty cool. Let's drag that down a little bit more there. Alright, so basically now I have this set up and I have that set up, and I think I'm ready to add in some particle systems. So I'm going to go particle systems on my broken mesh and new. Alright, so you can see we get all the particles appearing already. Now I don't want the particles to start until the sphere is touching it. So right, boom, there they could start maybe frame 40. So start frame 40, and then they should all be shattered by frame 50. They should all be shattered really. Okay, so frame 50, they'll all be, boom, emitted. Okay, and so let's just start kind of playing this simulation through, seeing what we get. That looks pretty fakey. So basically they're just all falling to the ground. And first things first, what we're going to do is select our sphere here, go to our physics tab and give it a collision. And let's give it a little bit of factor in the particle dampening and particle friction. Just put that up a little bit for better collision, I think, and then let's see what happens. Alright, so that's better. You can see it's throwing a lot of the particles as it comes by. That looks very cool. Okay, now let's go to our particle settings again, and let's change a few settings. I want to turn up the velocity a little bit on the emitter geometry here. Put that at like a 2 or something. That should be good. So it'll shoot out a little bit further. Boom. Not bad. It could be a little bit higher. Maybe 3 or 4. And choose some forces down here, like the Brownian motion. Give the particles a little bit of a random sporadic movement. Let's go just 1 on that. A little bit of random here might be good. 0.3. I'm going to choose rotation and dynamic, and random that too. And random that. Okay, so now we got our particles, and they are pretty random. It looks not bad. We can also adjust the mass of the particles here, and I'm going to go a little bit more, and I'll click multiply mass with size. Alright, and use particle size and deflection. Let's use that size deflect as well. Okay, so save it. Good. Now let's crank up the amount of particles to, let's go 5,000 for now. And here comes the cool part. Let's use the Explode modifier. Let's see how this goes. We have our particle setting already here. I'm going to add modifier Explode in the simulate. We're going to go explode. Alright. So a few settings I want to quick check is cut edges and size. Now, because I chose size, that will mean that the particles coming off this will be represented by the particle size. So the shards that will be blowing up, basically, will be controlled by the particle size. So this has to be around 1. I'll go 0.9. And now we can give it some random size too. So I'll give it like a 0.4 in random size. Okay, maybe 0.95 would be better. Alright. So let's see what this looks like. Alright, this is the fun part. Hit play, and we'll see what happens. Ball comes. Boo! Ooh. Wow. Quite the shatter. Not bad, but not bad. Let me go camera view. Boom. You can see some of these are just kind of falling strangely over here. Not really that realistic. So you might want to turn your emitter geometry down a little bit. And let's give it a little bit of angular velocity here. Let's give that like a point. Oh no, let's give it like a number of 5. Alright. Let's play this through. Boom. Now you can see some of these are rotating nicely. And it looks a little better, but whew, still destroying a little bit quicker than I would like. So let's kind of see what we got here. They're all kind of going out, and let's see what this looks like. Some of them are getting shot really far, and I think that is because I have the multiply mass with size. Maybe we don't want that setting. Let's see what we get without that. Go with wireframe here. There we go. Alright, that's kind of cool. Not terrible. I think I'll give the particles a little bit more mass though, so they fall a little bit faster, a little bit heavier looking. Alright, let's see what that looks like. Boom. Alright, that's kind of cool. We might be able to roll with that. Let's kind of see, well, let's see what it would look like with less mass. This might be, I experimented with this a little bit in mine, and you get a little bit less particles flying off. So in a way, I think I like this a little bit better. This is kind of what I went for, a little bit more. So I'll try 0.3. And the particle is still shooting out crazy like that, so we can use the multiply mass. That wasn't the issue on that. But a few particles shooting out crazy like that is fine. Might be even realistic. Okay, so and building is destroyed. Not bad. Okay, let's work with that. So let me choose a frame in here that's looking good, and we gotta see what this looks like when it first destroys. Yeah. So basically, they just get smashed out and destroyed. Not bad. This might be kind of holding on to too many of the particles, so you can kind of play with these particle dampening factors. The stickiness you obviously want at 0, and kind of choose something that might work better, but not bad. So what I'm going to do now is I want to give all those particles a little bit of shape to them. So on a blank layer, I'm just going to jump to a blank layer here and go top view down, number 7, Shift A, add in a cube, and let's put that at the center here. So Shift S, cursor to center, Shift S, selection to cursor. There we go. And let's kind of look at this a little bit. Let's scale this down along the Z, nice and thin-ish, and let's just kind of modify it to be a shard of glass of some sort. So what would we think a good shard would look like? Maybe something like that. Scale it down. Alright, there's one shard. Easy peasy. Shift D it, bring it over. Try and make one look a little different and not have the same shape so much, but still look shardy. Alright, that looks a little bit different, a little bit similar still, but I'm not going to complain about it. It's not terrible. Okay, there's another shard, and Shift D, do it one more time. Let's just kind of scale these out and pull these across. Maybe you kind of go for just a part. Whoops, Command Z. Kind of go for that look. Alright, so there's a few shards that don't look too bad. Now I want to duplicate them all once. Shift D and scale these down some more. Something like that. Now I'm going to B, box select, grab all of them, Control G, made a group. You can name our group over here. Let's go shards. Alright. Back to our main layer. Now we're going to give these particles a shape. So right now they're rendering just as a halo. I'm going to choose group. We're going to choose duplicate group shards. Alright, save it up. Good. Good. Now let's see what this looks like. When it blows through. Whoa, okay. Okay, time out. Shards are huge. Let's make these a lot smaller. So jump to this layer. Box like the shards. Scale them way down. See what that looks. That's better. Still a little big actually. Could go a little bit smaller still. So let's zoom in on these a little bit. And just scale them down a little bit more. Alright. That's looking better. Yes. It's got some of those really small ones. You might even want to just grab your small ones and duplicate it twice so you have more small ones than big ones. So now we got 2 sets of small ones and just 1 set of big ones, and that will look even a little better. Okay. So that's pretty good. And that is good actually. So one other thing we gotta do is add in a solidify modifier on top of the or underneath the explode modifier to give these shards coming off the explode modifier some thickness. So I'm gonna give it about a 0.2 thickness, maybe even more. You can see you don't want to go too much, but a little bit would be good, I think. Something like that. Okay, and now I'm going to use the clamp feature here to give them a little bit, basically the clamp feature, if I hover over it, it offsets it based on the geometry scale, so it'll give it some variation. Some of them will be thicker, some of them will be thinner, so give them something like that. Alright, and one thing I forgot to do, but let's just quick do it now. As you can see, well, first of all, the solidify modifier is giving our windows a little bit of a weird look. But I'm probably going to have a lot of duplicates in here right now. So I'm going to select everything here. And first I'm going to recalculate the normals. Okay, so choose that under shading and UVs. And then tools, let's go remove doubles. And I removed 5,000 some doubles that I didn't need. So that's good. Now same with my mesh that is hidden. So I'm going to unhide that. Select that much. Mesh, not mesh. Select that mesh, remove the doubles. This one will have a lot of vertices to remove. Very good. Shading UVs, recalculate them. This might take a second on a big mesh like this. And should be done in a minute or a second or a minute. Shouldn't take long. And it's just recalculating the direction that they're pointing to make sure they're all pointing the right direction. Here we go. Beach ball. Boing. Alright, and it's done. Good. Save that and tab out of edit mode. So because the solidify modifier gives us this little bit of a strange look here while it's solidified and we don't want it to be, what I did in my scene was right as it gets hit here, I animate the solidify modifier to come on. So basically at frame 42 or so here, 41, I'm going to choose, well here, let's first go to about this frame, alright, something like that, and hit I on both these settings. Very good. Now jump back to like 42 or something, and let's make the setting 0. Whoop, not complete 0, just barely anything. There we go, just until we clean up that dirty look. Good, something like that. And we can insert keyframe, and then let's turn the clamp way down to just a tiny bit maybe. No, we don't have to have it at all. Oh no, nothing. 0. Very good, so now it looks nice and clean, and then poof, it breaks out. And you don't even notice that this thickness gets a little bit larger because you can't see the thickness while it's all in the mesh like that. So that is good. And think we have the this looking fairly decent. Now, one thing you can do to give it an even better look is add in some more particles. So I'm going to change my particle count right here to more something like 7,000. I mean, like, you could go higher, but you're going to take a little longer to render. So do that, save. You might want to go to your explode modifier and click refresh. Sometimes you have to do that, sometimes you don't. Now I want to go to my particle settings here and bake them real quick. So under your cache settings here, just click bake. And this will just go by real quick. And I think I'm going to do a test render before rendering the smoke now, just with the Explode Modifier. We'll see how that's looking. I think it will be pretty good. So let's just see with that. Oh, you know what? One thing I didn't do, let's free that bake, is choose our large mesh here. This is going to slow our simulation down a bit, but it'll add a lot more realism. Is on our large mesh here, we want to make this a collision as well. Give it a little bit of particle dampening. So this will slow down our simulation, be warned, but it will give you better looking results. And that's what I'm all about. So go to here and bake it again. It will take a little bit longer to bake, but like I said, it'll be better looking results. Alright, now let's see what this looks like when it gets hit. Good shatter, some collisions going on with the mesh there. It looks pretty good. Well, some of this debris is kind of hanging in here, a little strange on the mesh itself, but from camera view, you won't really see that too much. Well, maybe you will. I don't know. It's up to you. If you see some weird thing stuck on the walls, you might want to turn the collision off on the mesh, but I'm going to leave it like that for now. Pretty happy with it. You can see it takes a large chunk out of it while it goes by, though. You might want to make your obstacle a little bit smaller if you're not happy with the amount that's breaking. But I'm pretty good with that. I'm pretty good with that, I know. Oh, you know what? It doesn't look like any of the floor mesh got selected to break. That's a little strange. When I selected my Explode mesh, it doesn't look like any of the inside here got chosen to be destroyed. Well, maybe it did, actually. Yeah, I think it did. If I scroll through here a little further, you'll see that these corners broke off there. And that looks pretty good. Like I said, if you wanted to destroy your mesh even more, you might get some cool results, but these broke once there in the corners, so that doesn't look terrible. Not bad. Okay, so let's see what this is looking like in a render. I want to pull this back a bit to a frame right around here-ish. Let's go there. Alright. Got some debris coming out, yeah. I would like a little more debris, actually. Let me think. Too much debris is getting caught here. But I can turn my particle system up a little bit if I want that. And I think I also will turn the collision off for now on the building because I'm not getting quite the results I'm looking for. So I'm going to quick do that. Turn collision off on the building. Go to my particle system here. Free bake. And crank them up 1 more 1,000, I think would be good. 1 more 1,000 should do it. Look a little better. And bake that. This should bake faster now that that is on no more collision there. So I'm going to do a quick render with this now. And we'll see what it's looking like. I'm going to first enable some motion blur. Now, motion blur is something I didn't actually have in my final render, animated render, because I was having issues on certain frames not working at all with motion blur, and it just hang and take literally all day to render a tiny bit, so just wasn't working. But I did get some stills working with the motion blur, so I'm going to try a still with the motion blur. We'll see if it works. And I'll just take a frame like so. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so save my file. Maybe position my camera just a little bit differently here, coming around the side a little bit more. Something like that. Cool. And we'll see what this is rendering like. So save your project file and hit F12. And I'll be back when this is done rendering. We'll see what it looks like. Alright, and this is what we got. So, not terrible, but could use a little bit of work. So, I think I actually made my ball mesh a little too large to for the hole that I broke in my building. It looks like it might be hitting too many particles, and the motion blur is a little bit high. So, and also, I think I probably could have selected a little bit more of my floor mesh here in my obstacle to destroy. But, these are minor things and aren't that big of a deal right now. What I want to do, though, is redo my simulation here real quick. So, jump back to the beginning. Go to my particle settings. Free to bake here. Very good. And I want to choose my sphere here and scale it down a little bit. It's too big for this scene. Alright, so jump back to the beginning here. Grab my mesh and let's bake it. Let's turn the emitter geometry up a little bit higher than 1, 2. Let's go to 2. Bake it. Good. This should be a bit better, I'm hoping. And yeah, because my hole here wasn't that big, my sphere was too big, and I think it was catching too many. Yeah, this is looking better. Much more realistic. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with this now. And I'm going to move on to the next step. So first, let me quick throw a material on this ball so the renders look a little bit nicer. So what I did is I just, oh, come on, split. Alright, there you go. Don't be a fool. Okay, split you. What I did for this ball was first I just did a quick simple UV unwrap, tab in edit mode, U, and sphere projection. There we go. And then the texture I used was texture. I think I squeaked a little bit there. The texture I used was just a CG Textures rust metal texture. Basically pretty simple. But I'll throw a link in the description if you guys want to use the same one I used. So I'm just going to open up that texture right now and put texture, image texture. There we go. And connect that up to the color. Ooh, this is acting a little bit jumpy. What the heck? Okay, connect that up. Open up my texture. Just a quick. Let me see where I have it here. Shoot your textures. And choose that button so I can see what I'm looking at. Got a lot of textures stored up here. Metal painted, I believe, is what I used. And I just had this repeated across my mesh a few times. So I'm going to add a texture coordinate node and a vector mapping node. Very good. Connect the UV up to the vector, and the vector up to the vector. Vector to the vector. And then I just chose the scale to be like 2 by 2 by 2. So it's repeated a few times. I think I added a quick, let me do a quick mix shader, mix shader, and a shader, glossy shader. Connect the glossy to the bottom, give it just a 0.1, so it's not a whole lot of glossiness. And then Shift A, add in a simple vector bump node. There we go. Connect the color to the height. I'm sorry if I'm moving too fast here. This is just pretty basic. And then the normal to the normal. And turn the strength down quite a bit. 0.3 should be good, maybe even 0.2. And then this normal can also be connected to the diffuse normal here. Excellent, should be good. That is good for the ball. Alright, close that off. And now let's work on the smoke simulation. So what I'm going to do for the smoke simulation is, with my my mesh here selected, I'm going to add in a new particle system. I'm going to grab the same settings though used in the first one, but I'm going to choose this 2 button here, so I'm not changing the first one, and I'm changing just the second one. That's important, don't forget that. And I'm going to turn the amount of particles way down on this one. This will just have like 800 particles or something. Okay, very good. And yeah, that is going to be pretty much all I need to change, I think. Maybe make the size just a little bit bigger on this one. Alright, and let's kind of see what this looks like now. I want to turn off, I don't want to see the Explode Modifier or the first particle system, just the new particles. So here we go, play this through, boom. Alright, that should work fine. Should do the trick. Maybe make the size a little bit bigger, but maybe go 0.15. Okay. Now I'm going to use this particle system for the smoke. Alright, those really, okay, that was, you gotta free the bake. So just hit a setting and then bake it. Alright, so that cleared the cache when I did that. Now I have 2 particle systems, and boom. It looks fine. Quite fine. One thing you may want to do on this though is make it start a little bit later, so you don't have the flames right off the bat. So maybe go 43 and then end at 53 or something, 54. Oh, that's 64. 54. So the flames don't start right off the bat. So you could do something like that and bake this again. Very good. So now I'm gonna choose, well, first I'm gonna set up a domain now for my smoke. So place my cursor right around there, Shift A, cube. We gotta make a quick box domain for our smoke. Let me go side view. Let me hide this mesh so I'm just seeing this mesh. Very good. And this is gonna be a pretty large smoke domain. So you can't go too high in the divisions when you have a smoke domain this large, because it will be slow. But I'm gonna scale on the Shift Z a little bit then. Well, I'm gonna scale on the X. I don't need to go on the Shift Z, just the X. And we'll pull it out like that. Okay, that should do it. And this will be under Physics, Smoke Domain. Very good. Now we choose this mesh and we go Smoke, and we choose, this will be our flow, and it's going to be from our particle system, and that particle system is going to be number 2. And then our ball here can be a smoke collision. Alright, and this will be an animated collision. Okay. Alright, so now with the this setting, we'll choose initial velocity on our mesh, on our flow. Okay, and we're going to choose smoke and fire. And I might make the flame rate here a little less. Let's go 0.6 for the frame. A few subframes, choose that there, and maybe make the smoke color a little darker. Alright, that should be good. Alright, and we move to our domain settings here. So my flames, I want them to raise up pretty fast because the debris will be falling, and I want the smoke to be traveling up pretty fast. So the density right here, if I hover over it, it says higher values result in faster rising smoke. And so I'm going to make this a positive number. Right now it's a negative number. I'm going to go 0.1 on that. And the same with this. This is higher than values result in faster rising smoke. I'll go 0.2 with that, just so my smoke rises a little faster. I'm going to choose Smoke Adaptive Domain. That is good. And smoke flames, you don't have to touch that. And timescale, that's fine. Let me see if we can get in everything. Alright, on our smoke cache, we want it to end after 90 frames. And we want smoke high resolution. I'll just go 1 division for now because I don't want too high resolution. I think if my final one I did 2 or 3. Now my divisions, this is what's going to set the quality of it. I'm just going to go 80 for now, because I don't want it to take a long time to bake. And the last setting I'm going to choose is dissolve. I want the smoke to disappear after about 15, I think this is frames, but I'm not quite sure. This will be because if it never dissolves, you'll see the smoke hit the edge of the domain, and that will look fakey and just bad. So you want it to dissolve after a certain amount of time. I'm just going to choose 15 for now. We'll see how that looks. Save my scene. Let's go to solid view. Option H, unhide everything. And I'm going to bake this. So bake. And okay, this is baking very fast. Cool. Oh, no, now it's not. It baked fast in the beginning because it goes through the frames to the point where the simulation starts and then slows down. So I'm going to pause recording now and get back to you when this is done baking. But I'm going to stop it here at 70. So I'm just going to hit escape, and you'll see that it saves your bake all the way up to the point, and it got up to frame 65 before I stopped it. But you can see the smoke, and that's the most important thing, and it's looking pretty epic. Pretty epic. Maybe even over the top epic, but it's not bad looking. You can see I have some smoke hitting the edge of the domain right there, and I probably have more particles going on than I need right now. But this is something you can adjust yourself, but this will look good for a still render, I believe. So I'm going to render it. Now I'm using cycles, so I'm going to set up a basic fire smoke material in the node editor. Now I went into more detail when I did this on my explosion video tutorial that I posted a month ago or so. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of just go fast and try and be informative, but not take too long. So delete the basic diffuse material, shift add in a shader, volume absorption, and shader volume scatter. Very good. Now add in a add shader and plug these both into it. All right. Plug this shader into the volume of your material output. And now I'm going to Shift A, add in an input attribute. Now this is going to be telling Blender basically what we're rendering on this object, and we're rendering the density. So you gotta spell density correct. It's important to spell it right, density. And I'm going to use the factor of this as the density of that and that. Oh, I don't know if I have to use it for the volume absorption or not. We'll see. And if I go rendered now, let me quick hide this base mesh here. And I also need to make sure I'm using my CPU, because you can't render smoke with GPU currently. So do that. And let me switch to rendered view and we'll see what this is looking like. Alright, so you can see the smoke is rendering. It's very fuzzy right now, obviously, but it's rendering in the right spot, so it's working. Very good. Let's go back. Solid. Okay, select that material again, and this one. Alright, so that is working for the volume. Alright, good. Now what I'm going to do, excuse me, is Shift A, and in a math node. Plug that in there. I'm going to choose multiply, and let me hook that up there. Okay, now this will give us basically the density of the smoke. So I'm going to give this a higher value of like 10. We should get some very dense smoke going there. So that should be good. Should be all we need. No, wrong. Not all we need. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate this. Shift D. Boom. And now I'm going to Shift A, add in, or no, just let's duplicate this add shader. Boom. Now this bottom section is going to be for the fire. So I'm also going to duplicate these two nodes. Shift D, pull them down here. Whoops. I still had you selected. Delete you. Just select these two. Okay, they already duplicated. Good, whatever. Pull them down here. And factor, density, density. Very good. And what I'm going to do now is add in the color of the smoke. So I'm going to Shift A, add in a color ramp. Now this is the color of the fire, I should say. Connect the factor to the factor, and the color to the color of both these. There we go. And I don't know if we need the volume absorption plugged in, but it can't hurt. You might not need it, but I'm just going to go with it for now. Now we want the flame to start white. This is basically the length of our flame. This is the hottest point. This is the least hottest point. So I'm going to add in, holding Control and left clicking, add in another marker here. Let's make this one a brighter yellow. And Control click again. Let's make this one a redder, hotter flame. Something like that. And brighten it up a little bit. Alright, so that is not too bad. Not too bad at all. We got a kind of a good looking flame there. Let's kind of pull these in a little bit. Pull this in a little bit. And not bad. This might need to be a little brighter. There we go. And you don't want pinky, so get out of the pinkiness. There we go, something like that. And that's not bad. That should work well for this. So I'm going to save it. And I think we should be ready to render. The density for the flame shouldn't be quite as high. I'll drop that down to like a 4. And we also need to change the attribute on the flame to be flame and no longer density, obviously. So change that to flame. This one's density. Alright, and everything should be set up good. Okay, so I stopped this before it got any further because I have some issues. Some very black smoke. I mean, it's kind of cool looking, but it's not what I want. So, gotta fix that. I flubbed a little bit in my material setup. Sorry for that, but wasn't thinking, and I forgot that the flame needed to be hooked up to the emission shader and not the volume shader. So I duplicated these two, these 3 nodes actually, and I don't need them. So I'm going to select them all, delete them, and stick in a emission shader there, like I should have in the first place. So, a mistake by me. I'm sorry. I'm human. So connect the density up and the density to the strength, the color to the color. Well, that value to there. Yeah. Okay, you see it. And connect that up to the add shader. Now, also, the smoke was too dense, and a few reasons for that. First of all, I don't need this connected to the bottom volume absorption. Just leave it connected to the top, into there. And I'll also turn the amount down here. Give that a 6, and let's give the flame a 3. Very good. And I want to brighten up my yellow color here a little bit. Just not sure how that would look so dark. So, brighten it up. And, alright. That should do it, guys. That should do it for a better material. Oh, this is still 10. I want you to come down to a 6. Very good. And we should be ready for a much better render now. So, save your project and render. We'll see what we get. Okay, so this is looking a lot better. A lot better. More of what I'm looking for. So, if you made it to this point and you're getting results similar to this, pat yourself on the back. You did good. You did good. And you should be proud of yourself. But, a few things. The smoke is a little bit big. And one thing you could do if you want to make it a little bit smaller is on your particle emitter here, on your smoke settings here, you can change, just go there, yeah, you can change the set size here to be something smaller, and this will give you a little bit smaller smoke. So you might want to do that if you're going to bake it again, but I'm not going to do that right now because it's going to take a while to bake, and I don't feel the need to do that right now. So yeah, just a few things left. First of all, I think the motion blur was a little bit strong, so I'm going to jump down to my motion blur settings here, lower that a little bit, and I think the bump mapping on my round ball could just be a little bit stronger. Turn that up to about 0.4. Very good. And a lot of you guys said you liked the camera motion, so before I finish up this tutorial with the compositing, I'll show you how I did the camera motion real quick. So I'm going to jump to the bottom mesh here where I have my undestroyed mesh so it plays back smoother. Select my camera. Let me see, my camera's on layer 1, so I need to select it on layer 1, hit M, hold shift, and click the bottom layer as well, so it's now linked between both those layers. Alright, now I can play this back at a good frame rate. So what I'm going to do is animate the camera here. So I'm going to choose automatic keyframing down right here. At layer 1, I want my camera to start, say around here. Frame 20, double tap R, bring it up to about here. Frame 50, double tap R, kind of follow the explosion over here. Maybe kind of jerk back a little bit to the building. And then maybe kind of finish off going that way. It's just so we have a little bit of the basic camera motion here. See, we have this, This is a little bit boring in here. Maybe give it a little keyframe in there with some rotation. Alright, now we get this. Not bad. Alright, now what really sells it is going to the graph editor here. You can see we have our curves here where it's being animated. And let me bring this out a little bit more. And adding in some modifiers to these curves. We can add modifier and we can add noise to give it that little bit of handheld shake. So if I play this back, you can see we get some really big noise bumping right now, and too much strength for that. So let me drop this down here, and I can see what I'm editing right now. Looks like I have the X location edited right here, and turn the strength down here. If I pull this out, you can see this is strength and this is scale, and make the scale more of a 5, so it's not quite so jittery. Alright, that's a little bit good, a little natural looking. I'm going to choose the rotation now, add modifier noise. Give the strength the 0.1 value, and give the scale a 4 value. So it's, or maybe a 6. So it's not too much. And maybe turn the strength down a little bit more, 0.08. Now what you can do is you can copy this modifier right here. Boom, copy it. Jump to the next rotation, paste it. And maybe just change a setting or two a little bit so it looks a little bit different. But that's basically all you have to do. And you can go to here, paste it. Change a setting or two a little bit so it looks a little bit different, and you're getting some really nice handheld looking motion. It's a little bit over the top right now. Just turn your strength down a little bit, but it's pretty cool. And that's what I did. I did it on the locations a little bit too. Maybe the Y location, paste it, turn the strength up a little bit maybe, but make the scale a little bit larger, like the guy's stepping around a little bit or something, whoever's filming this event happening. So you get something like that. Pretty cool. 0.12 maybe. And that's what I did for the handheld motion. So there's a quick tip for you guys. You can pause this now, and let's jump to a frame that we want to render. About here. Alright. That looks pretty sweet. Maybe the camera should be rotated up a little higher here. Fix this keyframe a little bit. Boom, something around that. Okay. And this will be the frame I render right here. Maybe stick another keyframe in there right there, just kind of composite this nicely. Alright. That's the nice thing about handheld motion, is you can put keyframes wherever you want. And scrub this back a little bit. Okay, maybe I'll adjust this keyframe just a tad. Right here. Alright, and right about here, I'll render this frame. We'll go right there. So that's a pretty cool frame to render. You could add more debris if you wanted, but by adding more particles and having a bigger hole to blow up. But I'm going to turn on my second layer now. Whoa. And I'm in the floor right now. Need to move my floor mesh here down a little bit. Is that good? Yes, it is. Alright, so I think I'm ready to render my whole scene now, and then we'll do some compositing. So if you followed the steps to this point, you should be good. You should have your mist set up already, like I did at the end of part 1, and you should be ready to render. So I saved my project, and I'm going to render the whole thing out now. It will probably take about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll be back with you guys. Okay, so I stopped this render again before it finished because the amount of smoke here is just a little bit over the top, too crazy, too much for me. I need to fix it. I won't be happy with myself until I do. So I want to rebake my simulation real quick. So what I'm going to do is go to front view. I can pull my whole domain box out here a little bit more. Oop, I'm keyframing it, don't want to do that. Option I, delete keyframe, and turn off automatic keyframe. There we go. And I can pull it down a little bit more, just so we can extend that out a little bit more. That's good. Okay. And now, what I'm going to do to make the smoke less intense is select my destructed scene here, go to my particle settings, choose, scroll up. Alright, we're on step number 2. Particle system 2 is what we want. And give it less particles. Give it 500. Alright, now I also want to change the set size, like I said earlier on the simulation, down a little bit. I think I changed it to 0.7. Yeah, we'll go 0.6. Just so that's a little bit smaller. And maybe turn the flame rate down to 0.5. A little less flame. And smoke might be just a little too dark still. We'll just do that. Okay. That looks all good to me. And I think we're ready to bake this again. So select your domain obstacle. And maybe pull this out a little bit. Boom. Something like that. Alright, and we're ready to bake it. So we got a free bake. And I think all my settings are here. Maybe have it dissolve a little bit faster. 10 frames. And I think good. So bake. And let this do its stuff. Alright, so again, I stopped my simulation a little early, just so I can render a still. And that looks much better. Less smoke, and should be good. So let me pick a frame like that, or that would be good maybe. And enable my layer 2, so we got everything around, and it all looks pretty. Save my project, and we'll render this. Right now I'm rendering at, let me see, just 50 frames, 50 samples at a basic HT size. So do that, and let me see, is there anything I'm missing here? Just check everything over real quick. It doesn't look like I'm missing anything. I think I got it all. I think I covered all the bases, and I think I'm ready to render. So F12, and we'll watch our render come to life. Okay guys, so I was rendering out the scene, and it's looking pretty good. Pretty happy with it. There could be a little bit more debris in here, so if you wanted to do that, you could do that, but it's looking pretty good. But I did notice one thing which is going to make me need to re-render, and that is I never set the sun strength after adding it in part 1, and it needs to be a higher value, something like a 6, and give it a little bit of a yellowish tint as well. So that's something I forgot to do. So bummer. Oh well. We can render again, and we will render again. So without further ado, render again. Okay, so that finished, and it looks pretty good. This is going to be the render I'm finished with, but a few things that I would add is maybe a little bit more debris. Like I said, this could be done by making the ball a little bit smaller, or making your crash hole a little bit bigger. But this is pretty cool looking, and let's composite this baby up and call it done. So, jumping over to my compositor, and Control-Shift to add in a viewer node. I always do that. And let's first add our mist in. So Shift-A, add in a color mix, stick it in there, take the mist, stick it as the factor. You see we get that look. Make this a little lighter blue. Okay, and then we're going to duplicate this mix node up here and plug the original image in the bottom and the new image in the top. The one mixed here. And now we can adjust the amount of mist we have here. You can see the smoke isn't really working with the mist right now. That is probably something with Blender. But that's not that big of a deal because we're not going to do too much mist. So it's just brightening our smoke a little bit there. And okay, so just keep the mist to a minimum because of that bug issue right there. Maybe make your smoke or your mist a little bit darker too. That way it kind of hides the fact that it's doing that a little bit. Alright, so that doesn't look too bad. Looks pretty good. You got some mist going there. You can see the before and then after. And it might be a little bit strong, but I'm going to go 0.9. Boom, before and after. And it's mostly... okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, just a little less. Alright, move on to the next part. That is adding some glows. So I'm going to add in a filter glare node. And start off by making it a fog glow. Now what I like to do with these glare nodes is first put the mix at 1 so I can see what is being affected. And this way I can choose with a threshold a nice easy way to select the amount I want, the amount of glow, and then I can change that back to 0 once I'm happy with it. And we get some nice glow going on there. A little strong, but you can take the mix here and turn that down a little bit to minus 0.2 or something and give you a little less. So that's cool, and there's some glow. Alright, now shift duplicate this node and we'll go for some streaks. Now what I like with the streaks is I like to go for the 2 streaks straight across, giving it kind of a lens flare look almost with the streaks. So I'm going to do the same thing with the mix here while I'm working on it to see what areas are going to be affected on the image. And change my threshold. Okay, I'm going to turn my threshold up in this case, so I just get kind of the sky area, sun area back here. Whoops, that was the streaks. I want to change the threshold. Let's go up to about a 1.9, see what we get. And maybe a 2.2 would be good. Okay, that's pretty good. And make the fade length much longer, so it kind of streaks across a lot of the image. Boom. And let's turn down the threshold up now, some more, go up to a 3. We'll see what we get there. That's better. Maybe a 3.5 even. Good. And then turn the length of these up a little bit more still. Cool. Now let's change the laterations up to 5 as well, and that'll help pull it out. We don't need that much anymore, you can see. Turn that down to something like that. 8.5 maybe. Not bad. Maybe more than that. Maybe go back to this 9.9 or 9.8. Or that's fine. Okay. Now we can change the mix back to about a minus 0.3 or something. Whoops, that was too much. Go back to 9.9. There we go. We'll see that gives us that look, which is pretty cool. I like that. So maybe just a little less of it though. Alright. So that's looking pretty sweet there. Turn the mix down a tad maybe so it's not quite so strong. And obviously depending on where you position your sun, you'll get the glare coming across different sections, which this is a little too strong. Which is all dependent on what you want and where you want your glow. Now one more glare node. Duplicate that one more time and we're going to go ghosts. This will allow us to give it a little bit of a cool lens flare look, and same thing with the mix, so I can see what's happening. Ooh, that's pretty cool. You can change the threshold and get some different looks, something like that. Some color modulation would be cool. Okay, and you might want to add some more alliterations, depending on what you want. That looks cool. That doesn't look quite as good. I'll go with 4. Alright, so now I can change this to about a 0.05, or no, a minus 0.5. There we go. And now you can see before, boom, and after. We get that lens flare look coming in there. Now we're to the point where you can see this is pretty bright, and we need to do some adjusting of that. So first I'm going to throw a vignette on this. So Shift A, add in the lens distortion, distort at 1, Shift A, add in a filter or a converter math node, change this to greater than and make it a value of 1. Nope, value of 0. Sorry. And we get that. And now Shift A, add in a color or a filter, blur, fast Gaussian, relative along the Y, we'll go 16 by 16. And it should blur it up nice and good. Color, mix, and change it to multiply. Choose the image before the lens distortion and plug it in the bottom, or in the top. We'll put our vignette in the bottom. Now we can determine how much of this we want. I'll just go 0.9 for now. Give a nice strong vignette, and that looks cool. Very good. And now for the last bit of color correcting. One thing that's also kind of cool is, go there. Very good. Wait a minute. How come I'm not seeing you? What just happened? What did I do? Plug that up there. Okay, yeah, just select this one. And what did I change? Did I change that? Wait, I changed something. Messed something up somewhere. What did I do? Okay, that. Oh, I checked projector there. Watch what you click. Alright, there we go. So what I'm going to do is add in a lens distort node now outside of the vignette. This is its own thing. After my multiply node. And I'm just going to give it a tiny bit of lens distortion. 0.01 maybe. Even that's a lot. Maybe 0.006. And a tiny bit of dispersion. 0.01. And that kind of gives it a cool look. Maybe just a tiny bit more. You can see around the edges here you get that blurred look, which is pretty sweet. And then you might want to choose fit so it takes out the black corners that the distort puts on. There we go. Alright, so we're almost there. One final node, and it will be a color balance node. This is going to give us a little bit of some color correcting abilities. And basically, I'm going to give this a tiny bit of blue. Not much, just a tiny bit. And with this, you're almost better off just going to the settings here and choosing this to be a point. Well, actually, I want this all to be a little bit darker too. So let me just go a tiny bit darker. Change that. Okay, that's cool. Maybe even a tiny bit more. And then if I go here, you can see that the blue is a 0.96, green is a 0.94, and this is about a 0.93. And you're almost better off just changing the settings manually like this, because it's so difficult to be precise with these values here. So you're almost better off doing it by hand here. Alright, so now we'll give this gamma value a little bit of a yellow look and a brighter look. See what that does? Boom, that's kind of cool. And same with this, just a little bit of that when we get there. Alright, that's kind of cool. And that's pretty good. I think my glare nodes might be a little too strong. Let's turn the threshold down a little bit and add some color modulation to that. That'll make it a little less. There we go. And maybe I can make the fade length a little bit longer so it comes across here a little bit more. There we go. That's kind of cool. And yeah, I think we're coming to the end. Maybe turn the size of that down a little bit. All right. Alright, alright, and maybe make this just a little bit darker. Boom. There we go. So, this is also a little bit saturated, so to be cool and filmic, I might throw in a hue saturation value and just take the saturation down a tad, But there we... Oh, that was a big tad. 0.9. There we go, guys. That is our final render, and I'm pretty happy with it. This is a little too bright. Pull it down a little bit. Pull that one up a little bit, maybe. What does that do? Boom. Okay, so there we go. That will finish, I believe. We've come to the closing. Maybe make this a little darker and make it a little more. I'm just fine-tuning some things, but that is it, guys. Shift space to make it full screen, and scroll in with Alt-V. There we go. A little low quality, but I didn't render out the highest quality. That is how to destroy this building in Blender. Hope you guys had fun, maybe learned some things along the way. If you make something cool, post it in the comments so I can see it, and I love seeing what you guys come up with. And that'll do it for me. So, bye-bye. I'll see you in my next tutorial.